when I was 16, I broke someone's heart. And I didn't really feel anything. But when I was 17, someone broke my heart. And I felt everything. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I was convinced that this was the worst thing that had ever happened in the history of the world. And at the time, I couldn't help wonder why something I thought of as an emotional matter had such a physical impact on me. What is it about love that means we can feel so much or so little? And how can it mean so many different things to so many different people? What is love? The answer isn't romance, it's science. And through my exploration, I have discovered that science splits love into 3 distinct stages. So join me on this very romantic journey. We begin at stage 1, lust. Now, at puberty, 2 sex hormones become active in our bodies. We have estrogen and testosterone. And from then on in, we are constantly on the prowl for someone to reproduce with. But how do we entice them? We flirt. Some of us better than others. Now, we might underestimate how important flirting is, but it basically gives us a risk-free way of previewing a potential partner without giving them access to our precious genes. Now, we might not realize how important things like chat-up lines are, but a scientific tip is to make your first line a good one, because it can take our brain It can take our brain less than 1 second to decide if we are going to fancy someone or not. And a glimmer of hope for the less attractive amongst us. Studies show that good flirting technique is more important than good looks. So there really is hope for everyone, including you. Now, whenever we do flirt and we are in stage 1, people can get stuck in this stage. These are people who are driven by the lust, and we know them commonly as commitment phobes. And these sociable singletons love nothing more than a good flirt. And when we flirt, it ignites an animalistic part of the human brain, giving us 2 choices. So we can approach or we can retreat. Now, we humans are pretty good at knowing when someone is into us or when someone, unfortunately, isn't into us. But animals aren't quite so tactful with unrequited lust. In fact, if a flirty male wolf spider, exhibit A, approaches an unwilling female, she doesn't simply retreat, she eats him. So don't feel too bad next time you're rejected, because seriously, it could be worse. Now that we know we do have to flirt and it ignites parts of the brain, we need to figure out who are we attracted to, or more importantly, what are we attracted to. So some minor personal preferences aside, there are a few things that all of us are attracted towards. And one of them is the colour red. Now, millions of years ago, our ancestors developed the ability to see ripe red fruits amongst green leaves, and therefore red equals reward. And it's been hardwired into our brains ever since. Why do you think red is used by big brands like Coke or McDonald's? Even looking at someone wearing red can quicken the pulse and cause mass feelings of excitement. Calm down, guys. Now, our lips evolved to become red to attract mates. In fact, men consistently rate women with plumper, redder lips as more attractive, which is why women wear red lipstick and why men want us all to look like Angelina Jolie. Now, there is something else that can really spark our interest in a person, and this is their scent. I don't mean perfumes, aftershave, body odor. I mean their natural scent. So we have this group of genes called the MHC genes that control our immune system and give us this natural scent. In a famous experiment, women overwhelmingly preferred the smell of t-shirts worn by men with different MHC genes to their own. Why? Well, two people with different MHC genes and therefore different immune systems will come together to produce a child whose immune system has the best of both worlds, so it can better fight disease. So in terms of MHC genes, opposites do attract. So let's say we have navigated our way through this complicated, exciting stage of lust. We can move on together to stage 2, romantic attraction. Now, people associate love with the heart, but the real magic happens in the brain. And using an MRI scanner, scientists were able to see the parts of the brain that light up when people are madly in love. The first is an area called the caudate nucleus, and it helps us expect and detect rewards. In this case, love. The second is the ventral tegmental area, and it is a chemical making factory. It's our own personal Cupid shooting arrows laced with love drugs into our vulnerable brains. And these love drugs are serotonin blockers, adrenaline, dopamine, and oxytocin. And this chemical cocktail gives us a natural high. This stimulates the same area of the brain as cocaine with similar side effects, like increased heart rate, obsessive thoughts, and ultimately, addiction. Put simply, we are chemically insane. Now, due to the high levels of addiction at this stage, there is a phenomenon known as the stage 2 junkies. These people cannot resist the addictive cocaine-like high of stage 2, and they need their hit. So they constantly revisit stage 2 with different people. Now, a stage 2 junkie in the wild can be spotted as a person who changes their Facebook relationship status weekly. Now, we humans aren't the only ones who can suffer from these side effects. Animals can also feel some types of love sickness. So, first we have the male seal. When a male seal is trying to woo a female, he loses over half his entire body weight due to the stress. Likewise, a mating male elephant during their mating season becomes so thin, frail, and exhausted due to all the elephant hanky-panky that afterwards he has to go back to his herd to rest for months. It's usually only the males this happens to. The females are completely fine. This is the stage at which we humans are acting totally out of character, but we can't help it. It's the chemicals making us do it. The person that we are in love with is all that we can think about, all that we can talk about, much to the annoyance of everyone else around us. We all probably have a friend like that. There's some people nodding. And if you're thinking, no, not me, I don't have that friend, you probably are that friend. This is the stage at which we might resort to stalking on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you are convinced that no two people in the world have ever been as in love as you two. But that's just the chemicals talking. Your brain simply cannot survive in that obsessive, blissful, drugged up state forever. It has to sober up, guiding us to stage 3, attachment. You are now in this for the long haul. People who are driven by things like family life and stability love it here. They aren't driven by things like addiction and lust, like some of us lesser people. They may skip stages to get here. And our body responds with a rush of oxytocin, the love hormone. Now, it acts like the glue in a long-term relationship, keeping us together long enough to raise a family. This is the final step in Mother Nature's scientific 3-stage plan. Now, we've perfected these stages over thousands and thousands of years. We have evolved according to these stages, and we use their predictability to aid our success in relationships. So evolution seemed to have it all planned out. However, evolution did not anticipate that in our ever-developing world of technology, computers and smartphones, dating would turn digital. In 2005, Match.com launched, and since then, 75 million people have logged on and used the site. 75 million people. And studies now estimate that 1 in 5 relationships now start online, while 1 in 6 marriages start online. But things really exploded with the advent of Tinder in 2012. I'm sure you're all very well acquainted with it. Tinder has over 50 million users worldwide, and it is available in every single country in the world. Now that's quite scary. Think about what some of our countries don't have, but they have Tinder. Priorities. Now, to date, 10 million matches have been made on the app, and there are 1.4 billion swipes on Tinder every single day. One of the more interesting sides of Tinder, I think, is the gender differences. The way that we use Tinder varies depending on if you're a male or a female. So I'm sure most people know if you like someone on Tinder, you swipe right. Yeah? Does that sound familiar? You can deny it all you want. Statistics say most people in this room have tried it. So Tinder, if you fancy someone, you're attracted to them, you swipe right. Females swipe right 14% of the time. Males swipe right 46% of the time. So either on Tinder there are a lot more attractive women than men, or the men are a lot more willing to take what they can get. But what does science think about online dating? Well, our brain loves to calculate our compatibility. It has a lot less to go on when an app like Tinder or any other online dating site shows you just a profile picture and a brief description of someone's interests. Yes, an attractive profile picture can set off pleasure centres in the brain, but nevertheless, we miss out on several key pieces of information. We can't smell someone's MHC genes through a screen. We can't tell anything about their natural flirting ability whenever they have the opportunity to plan and edit exactly what they are going to say. We might not even know what they actually look like. In terms of evolution, that's very important because we are attracted to symmetrical faces as they are indicators of good health and good genetics. The current trend of using a profile picture that shows half of your face tells us nothing about your genetics and really leaves our brain in a state of confusion. And in this altered reality, we tend to put up a heavily edited version of ourselves online. It's kind of like putting up an online version of your best bits. It's very easy to hide things that you don't like about yourself online. No teeth, no problem. Don't smile in your pictures. If you turn up to meet someone with no teeth, they are going to notice. And with the popularity of online dating at the minute, it is important just to say, use a little bit of caution. But statistically, because over 90% million people around the world are using online dating, there is a very high chance that eventually you will meet someone that you click with or that you find very attractive, or even that might happen to be your scientific soulmate. So while the science says be a little bit cautious, the math says go for it. If you want to marry the two together, go for the online dating. It's a good option, it'll widen your pool, but try and meet that person face to face as soon as possible to give your brain the chance to work its magic. Now, we also need to use caution with another small aspect of the whole online dating phenomenon that's happening at the minute. People tend to dismiss some things, some latest technology advancements as fads. But a word of warning to anyone who thinks that, online dating is most definitely not one of them. Studies released by eHarmony have shown that by 2040, 70% of all relationships will begin online. So if you think at the minute, maybe you have a couple of friends who might be in relationships that started online, that is going to go all the way up to 70% in such a small period of time. So online dating isn't going anywhere soon. So after pondering the science of love and online dating, I've started to wonder, are they going to merge any further in the future? Are we going to evolve to select a mate based on their Tinder profile? Or are we going to just continue to follow the scientific 3-step plan, how it has always been, millions of years in the making? We've been following for thousands and thousands of years. What are we going to do? In other words, what's next? Are Mother Nature and technology going to hook up? I think that they might just be a match. Thank you very much for listening.